Welcome. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over some items that I bought at a thrift store here in town. I also did stop at a Ross real quick. I'll be getting all of this stuff listed on my eBay store in the next couple of days, so if there's anything that you'd like, feel free to check out the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Most of my videos, I do my best to explain my reasoning of why I bought the item, what I expect to sell it for, potentially also how long I expect it to go for. I have other videos where I'm a lot more in depth. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch today, so actually what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be kind of flying through the items that I got. I won't be going as in depth to explain the reasoning in terms of long rambles about each item, but what I'll do is I'll show the item, I'll explain it, I'll tell you how much I got it for, I'll tell you how much I expect it to sell. I won't be pulling up comps, so you're just going to have to take me for my word at that. Again, if there's anything that you're interested, feel free to send an offer on the eBay store below if you see it in the next few days. And if you're interested in learning more about how you could potentially find stuff in your local area to buy and sell online so that you can make some extra side money, feel free to ask any questions as well, because really that's why I'm making this video, because I want it to be helpful for you. So with that in mind, let's dive in. I'm going to, as I said, go through these a little bit quicker than I normally do and see if we can compress time a little bit. I'm going to start with this pair of Stuart Weitzman cork wedge shoes. Stuart Weitzman is a brand that's pretty solid, but it is kind of style specific. Not every single pair is going to sell quickly or for a lot. These are fairly in style. They're a good size. They're a decent size. They're a women's size 6. It's a little bit on the smaller side. Still in that good range. It's got a little bit of wear on it. Definitely gonna have to clean them up a tiny bit. You could just use like a magic eraser in order to do that. They won't necessarily clean up perfectly, but there's nothing too major that I'm seeing here. I got these for $6.95 each. Not sure if you'll be able to see that, but well, $6.95 for the pair. My expectation is that these will sell for approximately $50, give or take. More than happy with that margin. Next up, this was one of the bigger buys that I got. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm also very tempted to keep this, but I probably won't. This is a Pioneer DDJ 200 Smart DJ controller. If you know anything about music equipment, you know music equipment can oftentimes sell at pretty great premiums, even secondhand. So basically, this is a USB plug-in DJ controller. You can use it with Tractor, Serato, etc., record box, all of those different tools. I paid $49.95 for this. This is selling pretty consistently online all day for about $140 to $150. Tempted to keep it, and it's a good piece of equipment, but if I were to sell it, easy $140, $150 right here, should sell within just a week or so. Next up, these are a little bit dirty. Gonna take a second to clean them, but it's also, some of it is the color and the tone of it, but these are a pair of Hoka's. Fantastic brand. Running shoes, especially higher end running shoes, these can go, I mean, at Nordstrom Rack, these would be like $100, but if you're getting them brand new and not at Nordstrom Rack, just on the shelf somewhere, that'd be like at a running store, these might even be up towards $160 to $200, depending on the style. But the good thing with high-end running shoes is people who run through their shoes really, really quickly. So what ends up happening is that they need to get a new pair of shoes every so often. And so there's a certain kind of person who maybe doesn't want to spend $160 to $200 every time that they're getting a good shoe, but because they run so much, they need a good shoe, otherwise they're going to run into some issues. Quite literally, they'll get bad knees issues, they're gonna have muscle issues, all of that kind of stuff. So what ends up happening is that there's a really thriving secondary market for running shoes. Hoka is a fantastic brand. They've still got some good tread to them. It's not amazing, but these are basically, as long as your buy cost isn't too bad, these are basically buy it on site. I got these for $16.95. These are the Hoka Carbon X, and in kind of a beige tone. Again, probably going to need to take some magic eraser to the edges over here, but it's nothing too bad. I would expect that these will sell, just because of the condition, somewhere in the 40 to 60 range. It's possible if I wanted to wait on them, I could probably sell them for 60 to 80, but I like to move things fast rather than look at things sitting in my apartment. So I would say these probably 40 to 60. I'd probably list them at like maybe $59.95 or $69.95 and see what happens once they're listed. Next up, I stopped at Ross. Ross can be kind of hit or miss. I find that generally Ross has a little bit lower end brands than a place like TJ Maxx. While I was there, I only got 2 items, and They are these Nike two-piece swim sets with a nice color block, pink, black, two-piece set. Generally speaking, these kinds of Nike pieces can be fairly high-end. I mean, the MSRP on this was $94, and I got this at Ross for $13.99 each. So I got 2 pairs of them. I think I saw pretty consistent solds on them for about, I want to say $40 to $60. So basically $14 each into $60. Let's say average $50 each, perfectly fine with me. Okay, next up, if you watched my last video, this was a brand that I talked about how sometimes their menswear can be surprisingly better than you would expect. This is Adriana Goldschmied, the Protege. These are just a simple pair of khakis. Let me see if I can find the price on them. I paid $8.95 on them. And I want to be clear that other than the swimwear that I just showed, everything that I got was just at this one thrift store that I rarely go to. The reason I don't go there all that much is because they really price things up a lot, and you really do have to be kind of picky there. You can find good stuff. They have a decent donor base, but they price stuff up so much that I only really want to go there once every couple of months, because honestly, stuff doesn't really sell there. I mean, when I was there the other day, I saw so many people just walk in, look at their prices, and walk out. You can definitely find good stuff, but you have to be very, very sensitive to pricing there. $8.95 is higher than I would want to pay for these. These will probably sell for about $29.95. I've talked about before, sometimes, if you are at a store and you're looking at a decent item and it's sitting right in front of you, if it's a decent margin, even if it's not the most fantastic margin, if you want to keep inventory in your store, if you want to be listing things every day, sometimes it's better to just get the item and get it listed on your store, as long as obviously you're not going to lose money on it and it has a decent sell-through rate. I've talked about sell-through rate in previous videos. Basically, that's the idea of being aware of how quickly an item will sell. The best way to check that is comparing the active listings on eBay. If there's 1,000 active listings, and then you check the solds, which will show how many have sold in the past 90 days. And with the solds, let's say there's 1,000 listed and there's only 10 sold, it has a 1% sell-through rate. If there's 100 listed and there's 200 sold, it has a 200% sell-through rate, which means it's very likely to sell very quickly. Whereas something where if there was 1,000 listed and only 10 sold, that while you might be able to get a good price for it, it will take a long time for it to sell. So that's something to be aware of as well. And so also you want to be aware if it's something that there's very few listings and very few solds on it, it might take some time. But this is a good brand. I would say the Adriana Goldschmied menswear stuff has about a 50 to 70% sell-through rate. I'd have to double check that. Don't quote me on it. Again, I'm just an idiot on the internet. Next up, I think I only paid a couple bucks for this at most. This is just a simple North Face trucker hat, and very simple snapback style. Probably will sell for 15 or 20 bucks. No reason not to grab it. Next up, FootJoy. FootJoy is a golf brand. This is a polo. It's got, that dotted pattern to it. Boom. I paid $4.95 for it. This will probably sell for like $19.95, $24.95, somewhere in that range. I do a lot of free shipping, so the numbers that I would say, most of this is going to go first class mail, so my cost of shipping is going to be on average about $5, give or take, sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower. So if I say that I'm going to list something for $24.95, after shipping, after fees, I'll probably walk away with about $17.50, $18. So paying $5 to 3x on that after fees, I'm perfectly fine with that. This right over here I paid $3 for. This is a Patagonia long sleeve t-shirt. It's got the small Patagonia on the front. It's got the big Patagonia on the back. It is a men's size. It's a little bit faded. Men's size small. Super simple. Patagonia is a great brand. Very, very, very loyal buyer base. As long as your price is right, you'll buy it all day. I'll have to check comps on this. Again, $19.95, maybe $24.95, somewhere in that range, and I paid $3 for it. This is one I have not checked comps on, at least in depth. It's a Sims fishing product, which is a fantastic brand. This is a very, very strong brand. This, I would say, is kind of like a woman's puffer jacket. if you look at the style of it. It doesn't really have any filling in it, so it's more of a windbreaker, but it's got that kind of puffer style design to it. You know, I would probably say like puffer windbreaker or something along that lines if I was listing it. I don't have an exact comp on this. When I looked up, some of their more durable jackets can sell for upwards of $150 to $200 pre-owned. I would expect that this will sell somewhere in like the $50 to $125 range, give or take. If I remember correctly, I paid $395 for it, or $295, something along those lines. One thing that I don't do as much is I don't do a lot of like sports team apparel. I find it, and if it's something where it's a little bit specific or it's vintage or something that some unique element to it, then I might get it. Maybe a popular player, but oftentimes if I just, let's say, find, you know, I'm in San Diego, so if I find like a basic Chargers t-shirt, I probably won't get it. There's just so many of them. They've been so heavily printed that it's the kind of thing that, especially for the modern ones, if there's nothing unique about it, you're probably just going to be sitting on it for a while and it won't sell for that much. However, this over here is a great exception. This is a New Zealand All Blacks rugby jersey. And this has the Adidas on the front, but it also has the All Blacks official license tag right there. I paid $9.95 for it. This will sell for about $40, give or take. This next one is a brand that you think would be really strong, but you actually do have to be kind of careful with their basics. This is a Columbia Omni Shade. These are convertible hiking pants, so you can unzip them, they can turn into shorts, or you can have them be the full-length pants. I paid $7.95 for these. I would say a lot of the Columbia basics, some of their sub-brands like Columbia PFG, their fishing gear is really strong, but a lot of their basics are not as strong as you would think. Just because, you know, you think Columbia, you think relatively quality outdoor gear, but the resale market isn't as strong as some other brands. Like, for example, Patagonia is a way stronger outdoors brand than Columbia is. However, I paid $7.95 for these. If these were just basic hiking pants without any other descriptor, I might not have gotten these. But because these have the Omni-Shade designation and have the convertible element to them, that's enough keywords where it has the specificity that I'm looking for. So $7.95 for these. I would expect these would sell for maybe $19.95 to $24.95, give or take. You'd probably be paying roughly $40 to $60 for them new. So this is the same thing actually, same size, just a different color, kind of like the charcoal olive gray greenish. And then over here is the other pair of Adriana Goldschmidt pants that I got right there. And the Protege, I paid $8.95. Again, I'd expect these would sell for $25 to $30, somewhere in that range. This over here was one that I haven't found before, but I checked comps and it seemed to be okay. I paid $4.95 for it. It's a brand called Guy Harvey. It's like a octopus blue board shorts, swimming trunks. I looked it up, should sell for around $30, give or take. And we've got one more bag left. So as I said, I'm flying through it on this video. Hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Let's get into the last bag though. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well, because YouTube. This right over here was a really fun find. So it was kind of the end of the day and I was flying through some of the coats and jackets just because it's summer right now and I didn't really, you know, one day they price up a lot of their coats and jackets more, but also they're going to sell a little bit slower right now, and I had already gotten a bunch of good stuff. But I was just kind of flying through them, and I saw this, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is interesting. So this is a brand called Le Mont Saint-Michel, and this is a lamb's wool cardigan. I don't know anything about the brand, its story, etc. However, I looked up comps, and it seems like stuff from this brand is regularly selling for about $150 to $200. I paid $13.95 for this. And this is going to be a slower seller. I was talking in my last video about how you want to have some stuff that sells quickly so that you can buy stuff like this that will sell slow but will be at a better margin. This was a fantastic find. I was super happy to find it. And it was just the kind of thing where I was looking at it and I was like, I don't necessarily, like I saw it in between all the jackets because I was flying through them really quickly. I was like, I don't really necessarily know if that's any good, but it looks interesting. It's a good material. I checked the material tag. It said it was lamb's wool. And that is enough information for me to be like, I really need to check comps on this, and I was very pleasantly surprised. On the topic of materials, I paid $3.95 for this, and this is Lane Bryant, women's size 18/20, and this is a linen blend pair of red shorts. So Lane Bryant is a plus size women's brand, and obviously when you have the added keyword of it being linen, that's something that's fantastic, or at least a linen blend, that's something that people really do love and actively search for. I would say generally speaking, even brands that aren't as strong, if you find some of their stuff that is linen, cashmere, merino, etc., you're generally going to want to grab it unless there's like condition issues, or sometimes I find like really, really low end brands, you may still want to stay clear just because it's, you know, it's going to take forever to sell because nobody's looking for terrible brand cashmere, and it's just going to be a lot harder to find. But Lane Bryant has a very dedicated customer base. It's a fantastic brand within itself. It doesn't sell for a crazy amount of money, but $3.95 for something that will probably sell in the 20 to 30 range and take me 90 seconds to list it, I'm more than happy to do that. Next up, and this is a brand that I talked about in my last video. This is a brand that is a Nordstrom brand, fairly high-end Nordstrom brand. This is Eileen Fisher, and this is either 100% linen or a linen blend, but it's definitely got some linen in it. Paid $7.95, kind of striped, round neck, open neck, long sleeve t-shirt. This will sell for around $30, give or take. This one was one that I did not expect to find, and to be honest, I am not that knowledgeable about fashion, especially like high fashion. And if it wasn't for the recent Met Gala, I probably would have not known what I was looking at. I paid $8.95 for this. And this is a Karl Lagerfeld kind of sleeveless ruffle blouse. Karl Lagerfeld is a somewhat controversial designer who passed away. The Met Gala just a couple months ago, was in his memory. And so this is the kind of thing probably will sell in like the 30-ish range, maybe upwards towards 40. $8.95 for that, more than happy to. Now, this over here is something where sometimes if your price is right and it's the right brand, you might be able to get away with buying basics. So this is something I paid $1.95 for it. And this is Lucky brand, which is a fantastic popular brand. I believe it's like a lower end Nordstrom brand, but it has a great base to it. This is a medium tank, very simple gray basic tank, but paying $2 for this, I'll probably list it at $12.95 and expect somebody to just punch the buy now button, or at worst sell it for $10. You know, it's the kind of thing where after shipping, I'll probably only make about $4 on it, but it's going to just be the kind of thing where if I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, oh, I need something to list, this will be at the bottom of my listing pile, but it will also be the kind of thing where, because eBay so heavily incentivizes active sellers with traffic, so if I am at the store and I find something for $2 that I know is a good fit for my store, even if the margin sometimes isn't the best, if it's just $1 or $2, I'll still grab it just because that means that I've got one more thing that I can list on my store and get that algorithm boost from listing stuff. Over here, this was a fun piece. So this is actually a new with tag, Torrid. Torrid is another plus size brand. This is Torrid size 1. Their sizes, so 1 is actually 1X. It's roughly 16 women's. But this is a Darth Vader Star Wars shirt. New with tag, Star Wars, Torrid, all of these kinds of things add up pretty well. If I remember correctly, I paid $11.95 for it, higher than I would have liked. But because of the fact that it has those elements, I'm guessing that this will sell for around $35 to $40. So that is an okay margin for me. If it was just a basic Torrid shirt, I probably wouldn't have bought it just because of the fact that they had it priced up. You do really want to be careful about your margins when you're buying. Next up, this is a brand called Life is Good. If you ever see on the back that little guy right there, you'll know you're looking at them. On the inside, boom, Life is Good. This is just a long sleeve woman's basic t-shirt. It's got a little heart on the front with the Life is Good. I think I paid $5 for this, $4.95. This isn't going to sell for anything crazy, probably $19.95 free shipping, somewhere in that range. But again, $5 after shipping and fees, I'll make $8 on it. Again, the kind of thing, if you're at the store, if it's right in front of you, you might as well grab it. There's a super fast sell-through on that, so I'm not as concerned. This right over here is a Eileen Fisher knit V-neck kind of throw, short sleeve-ish throw sweater. This is a linen piece as well. There were some other pieces from Eileen Fisher that I did not get just because they weren't linen, and most of their Eileen Fisher stuff was priced in like the $6 to $8 range, and their stuff that's not linen is going to sell for like the 20 to 25 range, and the stuff that is linen is going to sell in like the 30 to 40 range, if not higher. And so, you know, for example, I think this might sell in like the 40 to 50 range because it's got that like knit feel to it and knit design to it. Overall, Eileen Fisher, great brand, great sell-through, no issues with that. Paid $6.95 for this. Over here, this is another one of those situations where I probably would have wanted to pay less for this. Probably only going to sell for $20 free shipping, but because it will sell so quickly, I'm more than happy to do that. This is Lucky Brand, women's size XL. And kind of what I was saying before with the Eileen Fisher, like if I'm paying close to $10 for it, I probably don't want to pay $10 just to maybe make $4 or $5. But if I'm paying $5 to make, you know, $8 to $10, it makes a little bit more sense. This is Lucky Brand, Love Our Planet, Be Kind t-shirt, you know, charcoal gray. Lucky Brand, super fast sell through, especially their kind of very positive t-shirts. Sell really well, sell really quickly. I would expect that would be gone within a week. All right, almost done, just a couple things left. This was one where I hadn't found this brand before. I don't know too much about it. I think that the brand itself I wouldn't want to get, but because this is a specific collection, it made sense. I think this is going to take a while to sell as well. This is a brand called Wild Thing, and it's their workwear collection. I paid $12.95 for it. It's a pair of overalls, kind of denims, white and blue striped overalls. I would expect that based on the comps that I saw, these will sell fairly slowly, but they'll sell in like the $60 to $80 range. Again, that's what I was saying, why you want to kind of triple up some of your money on some of the basic stuff that's going to sell really quickly. The Lucky Brand, the Tor, the Eileen Fisher, stuff like that, because that means that I can then have gotten my money out of my initial purchase price and have things like this that will sit in my store for maybe a month or two, maybe even longer, but it's worth it because of the margin on them. You know, if you're paying $12-13 for this and you're making $70-80 on it, why not? Going back to the stuff that will sell a little bit quicker, paid $5. This is a Tor women's size 0. Paid $4.95. It's like a sheer paisley button-up blouse, floral. Definitely, I would say floral, paisley, etc. are all stuff that you could put into the keywords for this. Again, probably $19.95, maybe at most $29.95. I don't think that this would be, I really don't think this would be over $25, but pay $5 for it, why not? And last up, and this is the last one that we'll be looking at. This is a brand that I haven't bought before. It's actually one that I've kind of passed up on, and maybe I'm making a mistake there. This is a brand called Club Monaco. I paid $11.95 for it. And you can see that it is 100% Italian cashmere, which is what got my attention. But to be honest, looking at the comps for this, I think this actually might be a stronger brand than I thought it was initially. It kind of has that name like Club Monaco where it feels like it's trying to be luxury because it's not. The comps on this, they're 100% cashmere sweaters. This is a woman's sweater. Their comps were somewhere in the range of 40 to 70 if I remember correctly. I'd have to double check. The sell-through was a little bit slower, but cashmere, can't really go wrong with cashmere. There was another cashmere piece that I got that I was going to get, but it had a little bit of a discoloration and like kind of stretch marks on it, so I didn't end up getting it. But this one was a great buy. I'm not going to do the math on this video. I've got a ton of listing to do. It's Friday right now. I've got one more video to record after this, and then it will be time for me to get my 10 items listed for today and picking through all of this to make sure that I get the right items listed at the beginning of the weekend. But the main point of this video is for you to learn a couple things about how you can potentially go to your local thrift stores. You can go to your local swap meets, your local flea markets, your Goodwill outlets, wherever it is that you can find opportunities. Even if you go to Facebook Marketplace, garage sales, yard sales, etc., and maybe give you a little bit about knowledge about some brands you can look out for, some materials that you can look out for, what you can expect things to sell for, a little bit of knowledge about things you want to keep an eye out for, like your sell-through rate. And, you know, go out there, make yourself a little bit of extra money, help some people find the awesome things that they wanted to without them having to pay full price for it. Let's make sure that we keep buying stuff secondhand to make sure that we're not over-investing into fast fashion and continuing to fill garbage dumps with a bunch of stuff that we don't need to fill it with. on that note, I hope that this has been helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.